Hey friends, Sleepy here. It's Friday, so it's time for another episode of the weekly playlist. Now, this week I only have three games to share with you because these are the only games I actually played this week. The last one I'm going to share with you is the one I've actually spent the most time on, having a blast with it. But the first game here is a Nintendo 64 title. Now, my buddy Grant came over on Monday, and we had another retro gaming night, which I absolutely love. We did spend a few hours working on Donkey Kong 64 again, which we are working on completing that. We want to 100% that game. I never actually did beat it as a kid, and it's one I really wanted to play. He had never played it before we started playing it, and he's absolutely liking it. So that's one we are working on. But before we played that, we decided to pop in a classic wrestling title, which is one of his favorites, and it's absolutely one of my favorites. Actually, it's one of my favorite games on the Nintendo 64 as far as wrestling games go, and that was WCW NWO Revenge. I absolutely love this game. I've loved it ever since I rented it as a kid back in the day, and I was so happy, when I finally got my own copy. Absolutely love this game. It is great. Have a ton of wrestlers. There's over 60 wrestlers, tons of classic WCW stars, the Steiner brothers. You have Raven, his flock, NWO White, NWO Red with the Wolfpack, your Conan, your Macho Man, Sting. They even have the fake Sting in this. Kevin Nash. You have the Giant, Goldberg, Hollywood Hogan, Bret Hart. All kinds of classic characters in this game. I absolutely loved them. And there's also you can unlock the different WCW belts, the heavyweight title, like the cruiserweight. You also can unlock the tag titles, which we actually went through and played and beat the computer and unlock the tag titles. They also have the real different pay-per-view, your Sold Out and your Bash at the Beach. You can play at Nitro, Thunder, and stuff, and it's really cool. The arenas. Now, the characters don't have any music intros. They just have a generic music that plays, which that would have been cool if they had included their theme songs. But it was still a really fun game. We also went through and played the 40-man Battle Royale mode, which you could do less, but I like the 41. And you can set it like the Royal Rumble, where you basically, you throw the guys over the top rope and they're out, which that's what we did. And then at the end, I was able to throw my buddy out and I won. It was really cool. Being able to win. But one thing I used to love doing on this game was do the 40-man battle royal, but change the settings on it, which you could adjust match settings and stuff, and make it pin only. So you had to, or submission, so you had to actually pin and knock out the other 38 guys. If you play with a buddy, it'd be with the two of you, be you against 38 others. Or if you're by yourself, then you against 39 other opponents, and it makes the game last quite a while. But I love this game. It's actually my favorite WCW game of all time. And it's one of my favorite wrestling games, especially for the Nintendo 64. It's a really good game. Has all the different moves and stuff. I also like that you can edit the characters in this, change their costumes. If you want to make Rey Mysterio part of the NWO White or Red, you can. And there's also a lot of unique wrestlers from other promotion stuff, which one of the other wrestlers, this Hanzo ninja wrestler dude, is absolutely one of my favorites in this game. I always like playing as him, and I gave him a NWO Red, the Wolfpack shirt on him, and it looks really cool. And I absolutely love this game. You can also change the characters' names, their costumes, and stuff. It's really fun. I definitely would recommend, if you're a fan of wrestling, especially some of the older ones, get WCW NWO Revenge. Wonderful wrestling title. We had a lot of fun playing that. PlayStation 1. This is a classic game. I haven't played this one quite a while. Just recently wanted to pop it in because I'd seen a couple people picking it up. And that is Tomba 2, The Evil Swine Return. Now, I would love to get the first one, but the first and second, these two games are really expensive on PlayStation 1. $40, $50, $60, sometimes $100 people want for a copy. But it is a fun game. Now, I found a loose disc copy at a Goodwill several years ago for really cheap. But since it didn't have a case or the manual, I printed up my own cover for it, put it in a nice little case here. But I love this game. So you play as Tomba, and you're trying to stop these evil pigs that are trying to take over the world. Fun game. It's in 3D, but also has like a 3D-ish 2D stages. A lot of puzzles for you to unlock, bosses to battle. There's some like there's like a trolley cart level that's fun in this. There's also different weapons you can unlock, like a fire hammer. There's an ice boomerang, the blackjack. So he has this mace attached to a rope, which you can see here, and you can use that to smack the pigs. You also can get a hammer. And another thing I really like is you could jump on the pigs and hop on them and then flip them around and kill them. You can also use the pigs and throw them at other pigs. And there's a variety of different enemy pigs to go through. Now on the back here it shows that you can go covert in a pig suit so that the pigs don't know that you're really Tomba, which that's pretty cool. Now I never did beat this game as a kid, so this is one that I gotta work on. There's also a squirrel suit you can get, which makes it easier for you to glide and swing around, climb and stuff like that. Fun game though. I definitely would recommend checking Tomba 2 out. You know, it's a fun little platformer. Like I said, there's puzzles and stuff, a lot of unique enemies. The story is interesting, and it actually has decent voice acting for a PlayStation 1 game. I like the voice actors, and I like all the different characters in here. There's some funny moments. The music is really good too in this game. Definitely would recommend Tomba 2. Just be warned, it is kind of expensive. But I've been playing Tomba 2, and this is definitely one this summer I'm going to work on beating. And now we'll go on to this title that I've put the most time in. I put in like 13 hours probably already through several days. And I just got this recently at GameStop. It was only like $8, which you guys will see in my next pickups video. But that was Shadows Awakening for Xbox One. Very fun game. You can get this for $20 or under. It's a top-down action RPG, which I absolutely love those games. And, you know, I had mixed reviews and stuff, but I'll definitely let you know this is a really good game. I'm having a blast with it. It's 100% single player. There is no multiplayer. There is no co-op, which is kind of a shame for the co-op part. But I do like that it's heavily focused on story. There is a lot of story. The characters are all voiced. All the different characters you run into all have voices, which is nice. So it's not just reading a bunch of text. But I always turn on the subtitles anyways, just so I can read what they're saying. It's just something I always like with games. But it's a really good game. I'm loving the story. And this is actually is a little different between other ones because you actually have a shadow world that you're in and the real world that you're in. So there's two different worlds you can play in, and on the fly you just hit a button, you switch over. And so when you start the game out, you're a demon called the Devourer who has been summoned, and you're trying to help the heretic kingdoms either positive way or negative and be evil. So you have good and evil choices throughout the game to make, and that'll determine the ending you get. I know there's at least 2 endings. There might be more, I'm not sure. But at the start of the game, you know, you get to choose one of 3 main characters to play along as a Devourer. And the whole thing with the Devourer is he absorbs the souls of dead enemies, and he makes them his puppets, which then gives you access to the characters. So at the start you can be a berserker. There's also a guy that's like an archer, and then there's also a girl who's a mage, which I love to play as mages, so I picked her, and I'm going through her story too, which is also unique because, you know, the main characters, which she's right here, they have their own story tied to those 3 main characters. So you could actually play this through 3 different times and have some slightly different variations to the story to unlock for that character. Absolutely having a blast with this game. Now, the early game can be really tough at times, especially the very first boss in the game, because some of the bosses have health that regenerates, and it can be really tough. You get swarmed and stuff. But once you get through that first part, though, the game does become easier. I really love the idea, though, of having the Shadow World and having that Mortal World, because you get to play as 2 different things. So, like, if you're playing as a demon, you know, in his world, there's different demons and stuff, and secrets, crystals, and little things you can find, secret power-ups. And then he can also affect enemies in the mortal world, like he has a freezing blast, because he has magic attacks. And I can freeze enemies and then swap to my mage, and then she can fight the enemy that's frozen and stuff, and then she can use magic attacks. And later in the game, you start unlocking other characters in the game with other stats. So, you also can unlock some other mages, you can unlock some other warriors, you can unlock some other archers and stuff. And you can swap between characters because, some enemies have different strengths and weaknesses. So some might be weak to fire, some might be weak to arrows and piercing, some might be, immune to magic attacks. And so you might need to use your warrior to attack them with physical attacks. And a lot of the warriors also do magic and stuff. And of course you can level up your characters as you get XP for killing things. You have different levels. You can adjust your willpower, your strength, endurance, all the stuff you have in RPGs, you can do in this. And what is awesome though, as you play through this story and progress through it, you start unlocking other characters. Sometimes they're added to your party through the story, and other times, you have to find the characters, which a lot of them are unlocked through side quests. So if you don't do side quests, you might miss these characters. Now, I like to do all the side quests that are available. So there's, I've already unlocked a couple. One was Czar, which is a werewolf warrior, I like him. He's really cool. And then there's a few other ones that I've unlocked through doing side quests. And it's really nice. You can set your party up. And there's, I think, like 15 total characters. Now you can't get everybody in the same playthrough. Sometimes you have a choice between 1 or 2 characters, but it really depends on your play style. And you don't want to have a whole party of just mages because you want to have a variety. So I like having my mage, I got my I got my warrior, that's Czar, and then I also have this Ishka that's a little archer dude. And so it's nice to have that variety because you can switch on the fly between different characters. They all have their own health bar and stuff, and you can use that to your advantage when you're fighting bosses and different enemies, because sometimes their defense is high against something. You can switch real quick, and then I was saying that you can use different characters and combine their powers. Like you could throw a poison bomb on somebody, then switch to another character and use fire attacks and switch again and freeze them. So you can do different attacks on the enemies and stuff. And it's a really unique idea and really unique concept for a top-down action RPG like this. Loving the story. All the characters are voiced, which I love, and I'm really having fun going through the story and learning different stuff about the world, because there's a lot there you can read. And then also the main in the story, there's a main mage that summons you. He tells you through the story, and there are little cutscenes and stuff explaining the story to you, which is great. So I'm having a blast with this game. This is one I actually do want to beat, so I'm probably going to be playing this one for a while now. So happy to get it. I definitely recommend you guys get it though. If you love action RPGs, this game is amazing and I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to get further in it. I am currently on the beginning of the 3rd chapter, which I'm not sure how many chapters there are in total of this game, but when this game was originally released as Shadows Heretic Kingdoms, it was split between 2 different big world or games or whatever, or expansions, but then this, they just combine them into one game here for the consoles. So definitely recommend get Shadows Awakening. It's a great game. Do a quick recap like we always do. So my buddy Grant was over Monday. We were playing a classic WCW NWO Revenge. Has all your classic wrestlers, your Kevin Nash, your Sting, your Scott Halls, Goldberg, the Giant, Hollywood Hogan, Raven and stuff. And you have belts you can unlock, there's weapons, there's different matches you can have, there's all kinds of different arenas to fight in. They also have that Battle Royale mode, which is really fun. Definitely recommend, if you've never played it, pick up WCW NWO Revenge. You can get it cheap. It's like a $5 game, but it's really good. I also was playing Tomba 2, The Evil Swine Return. This is a fun platformer. Absolutely love it. I like all the different puzzles. I like the characters, the music. Everything is really good in this game. Just be warned, though, it is really expensive game these days, and there's also a first one you can get on PlayStation 1. And then Shadows Awakening, which I've been having a blast playing this week. You get to play as a demon, and you go through the world and you unlock other characters by consuming their soul, and sometimes you fight bosses, and then once you defeat the boss, you take over the boss's soul, and that becomes your new puppet and character you can use, which is a great concept. Definitely loving this game. It'd be really cool if they actually were to make a sequel to this sometime, because I definitely would get that. And it's a great story. Definitely recommend it. So if you guys have played the wrestling game, Tomba 2 or Shadows Awaken. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these. Always like hearing from you guys. Of course, you guys can share with me what games you have been playing this week, and if you have any recommendations, let me know. You guys have been recommending some really good games, and I've got a list now on my phone of games you guys have recommended that I should keep an eye out for. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care, have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.